Welcome to It's a Woman's World, where we'll meet achieving women making a difference in our community. I'm Carolyn Bruna. Our guest is Andria Corso, an award-winning career and leadership coach, consultant, author, and the owner of C3 Coaching and Consulting. Welcome, Andria.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited that you're here because I met you through the blogging for a friend, Dana Theus, for Empower Coaching.
Yep.
And I was impressed because you're an authority in your field, and you're smart enough and confident enough to be able to give people good information. You know, so many times you hear today that people don't want to give their information. They're afraid about, somebody else copying it or not getting paid for it or whatever.
Right.
But that to me is so annoying, and I'm just so happy that you're not that way.
No, I'm happy to share.
You share,
yes.
and you're smart and confident, and I love that part.
Well,
so it's great to meet you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And a good writer.
Yes, a couple books. Love to write, so love blogging. So I'm happy that we were able to connect that way. Definitely.
Oh, good. And so I guess actually we should talk first about that. You're a coach, and a consultant, and an author.
Yep.
And why did you, now you've actually recreated your own career, so let's start with why you did that.
Well, why I did it, well, maybe I'll share a little bit about what I was doing.
Or what you were doing, okay, good.
Because my professional and educational background is in human resources and organizational psychology. So I spent about 15 years in the corporate world doing human resources, leadership development, executive coaching, career coaching, and then about 5 years ago, I got to that point where I was like, I don't really think I want to be in this environment anymore. I kind of felt like I wanted a broader reach, wanted to do the pieces of my job that I really loved and enjoyed, and so that propelled me to kind of go out and start my own business. And that was the biggest part of the recreation, was really starting my business, going from corporate employee to now business owner.
We were talking earlier, and I said I've been reading about recreating careers.
Yes.
And among younger people like yourself.
Thank you.
That seems to be many of you come from corporate and want to start entrepreneurship and start your own career. So
I think for me and many of my colleagues, my women colleagues and clients too, I think what happens is, it's this like internal nudging of I'm not really fulfilled here anymore, and then but something's missing. So it's taking the time to uncover what's missing and then step into a career that may be more meaningful.
I see.
And when people are my age, you've been in your career 20 years, and all of a sudden you think, well, I picked my major in college. That was a long time ago, and it doesn't really either feel as exciting, or maybe when I picked it, I loved it then, but now I've changed, I've evolved, and so naturally your career is going to evolve too. And so I find that with women my age, that tends to happen with us, is we're like, I've done this, it worked for a while, but perhaps it's not what it used to be. Or even when I made the decision, I didn't really know myself well enough to think, what am I going to be doing for the next 30 years? Because I don't know that anybody really knows that when they're 20 years old.
Really?
We like to think we do, but...
Yeah, and also today more people are supposed to change careers more frequently.
That's true.
And another thing I was reading, you got me interested in reading about
your
recreation.
That's good.
And so I found an article on Forbes, and they called it Entrepreneurship is the New Women's Movement.
Oh, I love that.
What do you think of that?
I actually really like that. I think... especially, again, at this age and stage, women, too, who've taken a break from their career because they've either decided they wanted to stay home and raise their children. Now their kids are either school age or maybe even out of the house. They realize, I like the independence. I like the idea of being my own boss. And so why not be an entrepreneur?
Yeah,
I think that's great. Yeah.
This is great for entrepreneurs or women wanting to... aspiring for this, watching
absolutely.
our show. So I love it. The thought processes that you're going through.
Yeah.
And so now it's like you say what corporate business you came from, the corporate world that you came from. So let's go into the why you did it and how you did it.
So, the why I think I mentioned a little bit.
Because of wanting to be fulfilled.
I wanted to be fulfilled. Again, have a broader reach.
Okay, good.
And also again, feeling that unsettling feeling like I need to do something different. I think it's so important.
Okay.
Women, we are intuitive, we kind of pay attention to our feelings, but it's good to also honor them and think, okay, well, I'm feeling this, what can I do about it? Don't ignore it. And once I paid attention to that internal nudge of wanting to do something different, those feelings subsided. That feeling of dissatisfaction calmed down because I was doing something now that felt more fulfilling to me.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of the why.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go into then how.
The how.
Yeah.
So, Carolyn, back then, I will tell you when I did it, I didn't really think about it being a process or there being steps, like how can I recreate my career?
Yeah.
It's just things that naturally happen. But as I look back on it, and now, as I do work with my own clients, I do realize there is a process and there are steps and specific things that we all can do that can help us more easily recreate our careers. So, one of the big things is having a personal mission and vision for your career. Where do you want it to go? So why are you doing it? Where do you want it to go? Another thing is having a mindset of success. Our mindset impacts just really everything we do. So setting yourself up for career success, especially when you're going through a career change, having that mindset is so important. And there are certain things you can do then to set yourself up for success. The other thing is really taking control of your career. So kind of getting in the driver's seat and not leaving it to somebody else to decide what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. Another thing that I did, I call it acting as if, and it's really acting as if you're in that newly recreated position. So making decisions from there. And again, I can get into more detail about this a little bit later.
Yeah.
And so those are a few of the things, and also practicing appreciation. That was another big factor, which I can share more about later on how to recreate your career.
Oh, good, because we want to go into that in depth in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the interesting to me, though, is, or the interesting point to me, is that you stepped into it, you wanted to recreate it. These steps in your, like, acting as if and things come later once you're there. But at the time, how do you make a little step? How do you get yourself to do it? Psychologically?
Well, that's what I said the first couple of steps, which is kind of having your mission and vision and then the mindset of success.
But see, what I'm saying, though, which I think maybe it's because of now, I'm looking now as a boomer and looking at other boomers saying we want to recreate our careers as a second
That's great, yeah.
career.
Yep.
But I don't really know how to start until, like, once you've started and then you're in the process. So you've come up with these steps after going through the actual process. See,
well,
that's
actually,
it's confusing.
So actually, the step, it's not after, it's throughout. So when someone comes to me and says, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to start a new career, I want to recreate what I'm doing today, what I start with is this whole idea of a vision. So when I say a vision, it's more about what is it going to feel like? So conceptually, what type of work would you like to be doing? Who are the people you'd like to be working with? What type of an organization? Are you working for yourself? Or are you working for somebody else? And then we get into, if you really don't know what it is that you want to be doing, we do a lot of work around what fulfills you. So answering questions for yourself, such as, if I had an entire day with nothing to do, how would I spend my time? Or what excites me? What am I passionate about? When do I lose track of time? So that's how we start to pull the pieces apart and uncover what's under there and what you truly want to be doing.
But if I'm doing it on my own and I'm just beginning and I'm not starting out with a consultant or a coach, I should just, I guess, go online, find some questions, and then learn, because I wouldn't know the questions to ask myself. That's what I mean.
So there's plenty of information online, and it is. I mean, I would say for women watching, start with these simple questions.
Good.
If I had a day with nothing to do, how would I spend my time? What am I passionate about? When do I lose track of time? So what do you find yourself doing where all of a sudden, you look at your watch, you're like, oh my gosh, where did the time go?
Yeah.
Those types of things really can help you discover what you can do that will really fulfill you as a career. And you can do it. You can do it as a career, I promise.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. That's great. Yeah, great information for women starting out. So, I guess you should tell us a little bit about your company. You kind of mentioned some things, but...
So C3 Coaching and Consulting, we're a career leadership and life coaching firm. So what we do is we work with individuals to help them achieve whole life success. And when I say whole life success, I mean success in all areas of your life. So not just career success and not just personal success, but everything, because, as you know, our lives are whole, right? So everything integrates. And I believe that everybody has a unique definition of success. So what you think is successful certainly might not be successful for me. So we work with clients to help them uncover, what does success mean for me, and then how can I live that version of success? That's really kind of
and that's I like that. No, as from the point of view, that's another thing I think that women today of all ages probably additionally should say to themselves, first of all, am I happy in this particular career? Do I have, if I'm thinking about recreating myself, my career, then there must be something that I want to change about it. And then what is success to me? You know, and what do I do when I lose time? These are great
They're
tips
just
for people.
starting points.
Just starting points. That's what I think I need, and I think so many other people, whether they're coming out of a corporate environment and want to change and recreate, or whether they're boomers who say, okay, now this is my second life, I guess you'd call it, and what have I done where I can maybe use my experience, or maybe not. Maybe I could go from my hobby.
Exactly.
You know,
it could be anything
that I love to do.
Absolutely.
It sounds exciting, but you know, it's not easy.
No, it takes commitment. I mean, it's usually, you have to have the willingness to do it. Sometimes people would prefer to just stay in a known situation, even though they might not be very happy, as opposed to kind of jump into the unknown. So it is can be a little scary and a little risky. And at the same time, I'll say the rewards can be amazing. They really can be, if you're willing to just take the steps to do it, one step at a time.
Yeah, and I think that was the article that I was reading, as well as on your age group, was my age group and the boomers, and they said the one drawback that most women feel is they say they're afraid. It's the fear.
Yeah, it is fear.
They're afraid to step out and change totally to do it, or they feel they're not qualified, or they feel they don't know. And more boomers today want to work. Some need to work, but too many people feel that, you really are doing it out of need, and it's true, some people are.
Yes.
But most people just want to continue, and it says that as you continue working, you also stay younger, you thrive, you're more interesting.
Yes,
so
definitely.
I think it's a wonderful career choice that you've done and chosen.
Oh, I love helping people.
To be able to help other women.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to do that.
They deserve that. They deserve that, definitely.
Ah, interesting.
Yes, we all deserve to be fulfilled, everybody, in what we do every day. We spend a lot of time at work. We should enjoy what we're doing.
Yes, yeah.
Definitely.
Talking about deserving, that's another point. We have to get women to feel that we deserve things, rather than grabbing little moments for myself, but no, I should grab more time because I deserve it.
I deserve it. I'm worthy.
Does it sound selfish to say that, you know?
No, I think what I believe is that we should be taking care of ourselves, because if we're not, then we don't have anything to give to others. So and it's the same with your career. Create an environment for yourself in your career where you feel fulfilled, so that you are filling yourself up and can give to others. Because if we're depleted, we have no energy, we come home from work every day totally drained, you can't give to your family or to your community, or even to you're not enjoying yourself. So I don't think it's selfish.
Actually, I like that. And maybe it's not that we deserve it. It's not a selfish thing, but it's a responsibility.
Yes,
to ourselves,
I like that too.
And to the people around us.
It's definitely a responsibility.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk more about the steps for C3 Consulting second half when we get back.
Okay, great. Thanks.
We're going to break for a short public service announcement.
Movement, along with weight loss, it's one of the many ways to fight osteoarthritis pain. For more information on managing pain, go to fightarthritispain.org.
Welcome back to It's a Woman's World. We're speaking with Andria Corso, owner of C3 Consulting, coach and author. Hi, Andria, again.
Hi, Carolyn.
We spoke quite a bit at the beginning about women recreating their careers and the different age groups and coming out of either corporations or perhaps doing it as a second career. And I wanted to ask you about mentors because you had reminded me that that's a very important part of women. Do we have mentors? Who do we look up to? Well, who were yours?
Well, so I had many mentors, I'll tell you. I didn't really think about mentors until I actually got into the work world. I know when I was growing up, my dad was very influential in my career because he was very talked a lot about education and work ethic and all that. So that influenced me. It's like up to when I got into the work world. When I got there, I realized that I didn't really know how to navigate. I was young, my early 20s, and what I found was mentors. So what I did in the corporate world was always looked for more senior female leaders who were successful that potentially I would say, okay, well, do I want that role? And if I want that role, what can I learn from her? And so I think with mentors, it's important, again, to find somebody who might be doing what you want to do so they can help guide you, but also somebody you have a connection with and you can respect and trust, because it is the type of relationship where you definitely want to not only trust what the person's telling you, but also be able to confide in them about some of your own fears and challenges about growing your career. When I left the corporate world, I realized, well, these mentors, lovely women who really helped me advance when I was in the corporate world, but I wasn't going to be doing that anymore. I was going to be a business owner, so I needed to find somebody who was a successful business owner who I could model myself after, or just use as a sounding board, a trusted advisor. And again, I found a couple of women who I've done that with. And so I would suggest that it's just seeking out people, finding the people who you can potentially make a connection with, who are where you, quote, want to be, and then using them as mentors and role models. It's really important.
You know, that's so interesting because I was thinking back, too, about myself because I knew, I wanted to ask you this question. And at the time, I didn't know to want a mentor. So I really respect your age group for knowing that and going out and finding it. And I never knew, do you go and actually ask this person, or do you can't wait for them to ask you? Or
they wouldn't.
Or does it just happen?
I think it depends. So in the corporate world, some of those are a little, depending on the organization, obviously, they can be a little more formal. So they might match you with somebody who could potentially be a mentor to you. For when I was on my own, obviously as an entrepreneur starting a new business, I was introduced to a woman who had a successful business and had left the corporate world and kind of done exactly what I wanted to do. And I remember, had coffee one day, and I just, we hit it off, really good connection. And then it was afterwards that I said, would you mind if I just use you as a sounding board? And she actually kind of picked up on those signals and said, I would love to mentor you. So I think it's not being afraid to ask, but also respect that individual's time. So if they were like, I'm too busy, or maybe they can introduce you to somebody else. So it's keeping the communication open. But I wouldn't be afraid to ask, because the worst they could do is say no, and then maybe they can help connect you with somebody else.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. And the other thing that they didn't have in my time, I feel terrible.
But you did fine, so.
is informational interviews.
Oh, yes. That's another good one.
And you learned about those a few years ago. And so I'm tempted to go out and ask some people, now, can I interview you, just because I'm curious about what's happening in the world and things.
Well,
so how do you handle those?
So that's a great point, especially as we think about recreating our career. Because as part of exploring what you might want to do next, informational interviews are very important. So finding the people who are doing what you think you might want to do, going and having a conversation with them. And again, I always tell my clients, just be honest with people. So just say, hey, Carolyn, I would love to talk to you about your career and what you've done and how you've been successful, what it's taken you to get where you are, because I'm interested in potentially doing what you're doing. Would you mind if I took you out to lunch, bought you a cup of coffee? So, and then, typically women like to help each other. So
that's true.
You will. I don't think you'd have a hard time finding people to give you that type of information, and like even what you said, just finding out what's going on in the world. Different interests. It's a great way to connect with people.
Yeah, and you're right. Women do help each other.
Yes.
And that was one of the other things I was reading. It said that we need to create more of the old boys network.
Absolutely.
And I think we
do
help each other, but I'm not sure if sometimes the women who are successful, you always read that they're not helping enough. They don't pull other women up with them or show until they get to a certain age, and then they're not worried anymore that somebody's going to take their job. And so then they will perhaps model and mentor and things like that.
Yeah, I think it depends
But I
on the
think
person.
we want to help each other, but I don't know if we really do enough.
I think we could always do more.
But at least we're starting.
Yeah,
we do. I guess certain people do. Like you say, it all
depends on the person.
The person.
Yeah.
But you wonder about people in the corporate world. When you were there, did you find that women helped each other?
I did.
Oh,
I was
great.
very fortunate. I had wonderful mentors, and certainly, there were the women who didn't want to mentor or help, and they naturally. You wouldn't go to, I wouldn't approach somebody like that because it was pretty obvious that they weren't interested in being a mentor. But I was very fortunate. I had wonderful mentors in the corporate world.
Yeah, so we can't force ourselves on other women, of course, but just let it happen, let it flow. And when you find a connection, then you continue.
That's it.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I love this. Good. And so I think the other thing that people are interested in is stories of people who succeeded.
Sure.
And so why don't you pick from your own experience and your own business and maybe some of the interesting people who have, from some of the different steps, like at this step somebody recreated their career by doing this.
Okay, sure.
Do you have some stories?
I do. I will share one of my favorite stories as an example of one of the points I made earlier about the importance of having a mindset of success.
Okay.
So, I think of a mindset of success as the things like your beliefs, your intentions, and your energy, because all of that, which I feel like is your mindset really, either propels you to take action or not. So if you think about this, what are your intentions about your career and creating it to be something you love? What do you believe about that? What type of energy do you bring with you when you start to talk to people about, I'm thinking about doing something new and different with my career? All of that impacts your results. And I'll just give you an example. I have two different client situations a couple of years ago where one person was selling her business and she wanted to get back into the corporate world. She was in the process of the job search, and we were working together, and she was getting lots of interviews, but no results, nothing coming out of it. And after we worked on it a little bit, or kind of delved into what was going on there, I found out that she actually was very reluctant about the whole job interview process. She didn't believe she was going to find the job that she wanted. She thought the whole process was going to be really time-consuming, arduous, and she kind of had that energy about her. So imagine her going into a job interview with those subtle underlying emotions of, oh, this is never going to work for me. And she wasn't getting the results that she was looking for. Versus I had another client who actually lost her job, but she was really excited about the new opportunities, the new chapter in her life, the people she could meet when she interviewed for these jobs. And I mean, long story short, within 6 weeks, she had 3 different job offers, all ideal. And so I always use that as like a contrast, like the one who was really excited and expecting good things to come out of this, she got that result, versus my other client who wasn't expecting it, kind of went into it with that type of energy, and look at the results she got. Now, she worked on that, and you can do certain things to shift your mindset and be more positive. But I think it's just a good example as women think about potentially recreating their careers. What are you believing about it? Do you think it's going to work? Are you so afraid that you're kind of sending out messages like, oh, this will never work for me? Or are you excited about it and hopeful? Because I think that really, I've definitely seen it's happened to me, it's happened to my clients. It definitely impacts your results.
Oh, and I so agree. And it's the energy and the mindset and the confidence that we have in ourselves.
Absolutely.
But that's where it's difficult for women sometimes to not only exude it and show it, but to get it themselves, you know. So do you have a story of, have you ever said to somebody, you can't come out and say, well, you need to change your attitude or you need to change your energy. How do you?
Well, actually, I
or
have.
Do you?
Yeah, well, the thing with coaching is I would never come out to a client and say, you need to change your energy.
Correct.
I would ask them, how are you feeling about this? And when she was like, oh, it's impossible, I can't do it, I know my ideal job doesn't exist, I would ask her, well, how do you think that's impacting you when you walk in the room? Are you feeling that? And so we work on things like how can she get herself into a more confident frame of mind, you know, kind of just drawing on past experience. So when are some other situations when she's been confident and felt really good, and can she kind of translate that into going into the job interview or whatever she's looking to do next and transfer that energy.
So whether we're working with a coach or working on our own, we need to think about our own energy and making sure that we keep ourselves, I wouldn't say energetic, but stimulated, positive. Yeah. You know, it's interesting now. So many people are, and I've been doing different meditations.
Yes.
And there's, I guess everybody knows the name Deepak Chopra.
Oh, yes.
And Oprah.
There too. I'm doing it too.
And I'm listening. They have a 28-day free meditation online. And she started out saying that she thinks everything in life is energy.
It is. I believe that too.
And I hadn't heard that before, and so I'm following along and listening.
Meditation too is another way if you can really just, you know, kind of, I don't want to say silence your mind, but just calm yourself enough with breathing and the things that Deepak Chopra and Oprah are teaching. It really helps. I mean, it just kind of puts you in a better frame of mind. So,
yeah.
And I think for women who, you know, are working on their own on this, just starting to ask yourself, pay attention. So just ask yourself questions like, well, what do I believe about my ability to recreate my career? And, you know, how am I feeling about it? And then what can I do to maybe be a little more hopeful or more positive? Just being aware of how you're feeling in your own energy is a good first step.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I was going to ask you some takeaways which you have been giving me all along, and what's the very one important thing that you think a woman should say to herself to either before or during or after she's recreating her career?
I think acknowledging that it's okay to want to change. So that's the first thing, acknowledge that. And then the other thing I always say is one step at a time. So do one small thing. Sometimes the small changes can make the biggest difference. But usually just take one step, and once you take that one step, it will lead to the next step. Don't try and like plan it all out, because that can be a little scary. So I always tell women one step at a time, and then see where that leads you. And before you know it, you will be exactly where you want to be.
Okay, great. That's really good. And it's like break things down to manageable parts.
Absolutely.
Is what I get out of the one step at a time and don't. But we all try to, and that's the thing I'm learning. If people want to tune into Deepak and Oprah, that you only have today. You know, tomorrow is in the future, and yesterday it's not worth thinking about any longer. So do the one step for today and try to focus.
One thing at a time.
On that. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you, Andrea. I've learned a lot from you.
Thank you for having me.
Really fun talking with you. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed meeting our guest, Andria Corso, and are inspired by her passion. If you know a woman who's gone above and beyond, has contributed to our community, please email us. We're womensworldtv@AOL.com. Remember, it's a woman's world. I'm Carolyn Bruna. See you next time.